Good on. And let's see. Okay, all right. Sorry, did somebody ask anything? All right.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This accept mine as well. Okay,
just
go ahead. Please go ahead.
In a previous conversation that we had, so you mentioned devotees who don't make it in the current life, they have to go through higher planetary system and spend their time and then come back so that they can continue devotional service.
You're talking about devotees who do not achieve perfection?
Correct.
Yes, that is correct. Just 1 second. That is correct. I was just setting the light. I forgot to turn the lights on.
No, it's fine.
Okay, go ahead. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So just trying to understand if Krishna knows that, for devotees, higher planetary system is not very conducive. So what is the need for, practicing devotees to go there?
What an excellent question, Prabhu. Thank you. So, Prabhu, think about this. Why would one not achieve perfection in this life? Like, can you think of some reasons why one would not?
Attachments and not being sincere.
Exactly. Attachment to material things. Attachment means tendency to enjoy. That's usually the main reason, not the only reason, but the main reason. So Krishna is saying, okay, you kind of missed out on perfection because of your attachment and tendency to enjoy. So here, go enjoy as much as you can, and then hopefully that's good for you. And when you come back, you say, yeah, it was good, but didn't do anything for me. Therefore, this time I'll be more serious and I'll continue with my devotional service in a more sincere way. And hopefully this will be the last birth. So that's basically the thought process.
Okay, Prabhu, I think that helps.
Did that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Anybody else?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure, you're welcome.
Prabhuji.
Haji?
Prabhuji, I have a question related to the same thing that Hemanga Prabhu asked.
Bolo.
I'm just thinking, like, going to the higher planetary, higher planets, your situation can get worse by that, right? It's not only that you will learn from it, it might also get worse. Like, you can fall back into Maya, basically, because there is more, more luxuries and more of everything. So you can get more attached. So how do you come out of that then?
Yeah, so first of all, higher planetary systems does not mean only the Swargalok, where it is the all enjoyment. There are other lokas also where there is austerity, there is a discussion, there's Nishkam Bhakti and those kind of things. So they're all included, but let's just stick with Swargalok because that's the one that's causing confusion. Yeah. So essentially the idea is you wanted to, so here it is.
Okay.
When you come back, you have the choice. You want to do more of enjoyment? Fine, your choice. You want to say, no, that was enough. I don't want any more. And you want to do devotional service, then that's fine too. But in either case, continues to be your choice. And that's the whole point with Krishna.
Right.
So he just wants to make sure that you don't feel forced to do it one way or the other way. Whatever you do has to be from you, has to be voluntary. And if the choice is devotional service, then you get that benefit and eventually you come to him. As long as you keep making choices of some enjoyment or a little more enjoyment, you will not go to him. And that's the whole point.
Right. So you come back to this earth again to,
Correct.
Start from where you've left.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. Start from where you left and continuing to have the choice to continue or not with devotional service.
Still, I know that's a very bad thing to have, actually.
Well, actually, Prabhupada once said that even if you're in Golok Vrindavan Dham, you still have the choice. It's just that you always make the choice to serve Krishna, but the choice is still there. Choice doesn't go away.
And maybe because of that choice that we are here.
not maybe. There's no maybe about
This
that.
is for sure.
100% sure.
For
Because,
sure, we are here because
yeah,
of that
that's
bad
it.
choice that we made, I guess.
That's it. One screw up, and here we are for infinite amount of time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just one screw up. That's it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, big
That's
mistake.
very risky. Very risky.
Well, risky, yes, but you have to ask yourself, how many of us have actually learned a lesson?
No, yeah, I
That's
haven't,
the problem. That's
to
the
be
problem.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Nima
so much,
Mataji,
Prabhuji.
you're welcome. Nima Mataji, go ahead.
Okay, Prabhuji. What I figured out was everybody, like all of us that are born, all the human beings, we are all sinners. That's why we all came here. Like nobody can say that they haven't done anything bad, right? That's why we are here.
Yeah, that's true. But we were talking about the original sin. The original sin was to say, I want to be the controller, I want to be the enjoyer. That's how it started. And then it got worse and worse and worse. So yes, you are right. We are
Thank you.
sinners. We are offenders. We are fallen. All those things. But he's given us a chance to correct it. That's why we got the human birth. And we're doing a little bit of that because we are at least in the company of devotees. At least we're reading the of devotion. You know, you got all those books behind you. So Srimad Bhagavatam and all that. So, I mean, we're doing something. It's just not, question is whether it's enough or not.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. Okay, if no other questions, then I'll start with the this week's session. Excuse me. So, and I hope that everybody got the handouts, as well as I hope you have your book with you. We're going to do the section called Introduction. In my book, it's page number XIX, which is 29 in Roman. And I hope you have the book there. You can open that page because we'll be referring to that. We'll be reading from that. So if somebody needs some time to get it, I can wait for a few seconds. Does everyone have the book?
Yes, Prabhuji, we have
Yes,
the
Prabhuji.
book.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful.
And you said which page it is?
In my book is XIX, Introduction. This
XIX.
X,
Okay.
yeah. So in Roman, it's 29.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry,
got it.
19, not 29, 19.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It says Introduction.
Yep.
Okay, great. So let's get started. In Introduction, there are basically 3 sections. We'll cover them. I should also point out that it'll probably take us at least 2 sessions to complete this section, Introduction. And so just to set your expectations, we won't finish it today for sure. Anyway.
We are starting from the very beginning. So
I'm sorry?
we are starting from the very beginning.
You're starting from the
introduction. From the very beginning introduction.
Correct. You're just starting it today.
Okay, that's fine for me. I understand. I get you.
Sure, no problem. So the 3 parts in this section. One is called Mangalacharan, which is invocation. Invocation of auspiciousness. Mangal means auspicious. Acharan means invocation. So Mangalacharan is invocation of auspiciousness. The second part of the section talks about the scope of this book. And third part of the book, introduction, talks about what is the definition of pure devotional service. Okay, so let's start with the first part. I also want to explain that Mangalacharan, which is the first part of this section, also has 3 objectives. Any Mangalacharan. One is it defines the objective, in this case, the book's objective. Second is it allows the author to offer obeisances to the acharyas and the Lord. And third is it offers benedictions to the readers. So to say it again, first part of Mangalacharan defines the book's objective. Second part allows the author to offer obeisances to acharyas in the Lord. And the third part is offers benedictions to the readers. Okay. Now, there are 6 verses that you don't see in the summary book, but you will see 4 of them in the handout, and we'll refer to that in a second. So the first 6 verses are the Mangalacharan. And I'm going to ask somebody to read the first paragraph. That is the translation of the first verse. So would somebody like to volunteer?
Can I start, Prabhuji?
Of course you can. Go ahead.
So, invocation, auspiciousness. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. This is the one, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I got to start again. Invocation, auspiciousness. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the reservoir of all rasas, or relationships, which are called neutrality, passion, adoration, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, conjugal love, comedy, compassion, fear, chivalry, ghastliness, wonder, and devastation. He is the supreme attractive form. And by his universal and transcendental active features, he has captivated all the gopis headed by Tarka, Palika, Shyama, Lalita, ultimately Srimati Radharani. Let
Okay.
his
Hare
lordship.
Krishna Babu, just pause for a second, okay? So basically, once again, it's defining the book's objective. Okay, and what is the book's objective? Lord Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of God.
We can say glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
You can say that it's glorifying Lord Krishna, yes. And actually, if we go to the handouts now, sorry, I'm going to be going back and forth. So hopefully everyone has the handouts. And we will ask somebody to read the first verse.
Where is the first verse from you now?
In the handout. Anybody else can?
Akhila Rasa, that one?
Yes. Go ahead.
Akhila Rasamrit Murti Prastamara Ruchi Ruda Taraka Pali Kalita Shyama Lalito Radha Prayana Vidur Jayati.
Yeah, translation, please. The translation of the verse.
Where is that, Prabhuji? I could not get it.
Prabhuji, I sent the handout to you with the link and the reminder for the class. So
Okay, sorry about that. I didn't get
email.
that. I didn't see that, Prabhuji. Okay, sorry about that. Prabhuji.
What about everybody else? No problem. What about
We got
everybody
it.
else?
We got it, Prabhuji.
Yes,
You got it?
Prabhuji.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, keep going, please.
Translation. Let Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, be glorified by virtue of his expanding attractive features. He subjugated the gopis named Taraka and Pali and absorbed the minds of Shyama and Lalita. He is the most attractive lover of Srimati Radharani and is the reservoir of pleasure for devotees in all transcendental mellows.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So let's talk about what's happening here. So as I said, he is glorifying the Lord, but in a very interesting way. He's talking about his attractive features, and he's saying that it is the virtue of by virtue of his attractive features, he's subjugating all these gopis that he talks about. Now, this very special reason why these particular gopis are mentioned that I'm going to talk about. So first of all, let me remind you, as we have talked before, that there are 5 different mellows in which people or devotees love Krishna, right? And Krishna is the most attractive personality for any kind of devotee. And therefore, he's called Akhila Rasamrit Murti. Akhil means everything or completely, right? Includes everything. Akhil means something that includes everything.
Yeah.
So Akhil Rasamurti means all types of rasas are in Krishna, and his Murti means personified, Vigraha. So Krishna is the transcendental form of attraction for all kind of devotees. So Akhil Rasamrit Murti. Does everybody get this point? And so it doesn't matter whether
Some disturbance is coming, Prabhuji.
I think maybe because not everybody's on mute. So let me try to put everybody on mute. And can I ask everyone to please unmute yourself? I think that would be very useful. Let's see. Where do I do? Oh, there you go. Mute all. Yeah.
If you want,
I'm sorry, I muted somebody. Please go ahead.
I was just saying, if you want, you can make me co-host and I can help you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And again, you tell me who's speaking. I can't see.
Your daughter.
Oh, I'm sorry, Radha Bhakti. Sorry about
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really appreciate
Let
that.
me introduce everyone to Radha Bhakti, my daughter who lives in New York. And you can see she's quite, well, I was going to say assertive, but if that, I don't know if that's the right word.
That works. That's cool.
I don't see you, Rashi.
How about now? When I speak?
No, sorry. I meant in the,
Radha Bhakti?
I think
Are
I
you
do
looking
remember
for,
your
because
name.
you're looking for Rashi.
No, I don't see Rashi. I don't see Radha Bhakti. That's what I'm wondering. In the
Okay, we can see her.
Yeah,
We can see Prabhuji. That's
you
okay.
can see us.
Yes, Prabhuji, and also the name is there.
so why don't I see it?
Okay, it's okay. I'm sorry. I'm taking too much time. If whatever's easy for you, Dad.
No. Is Ashok Krishna Prabhu there?
Yes, he was here.
Oh, Radha Bhakti, I see it. Sorry. Oh, you already co-host Radha Bhakti.
I'm co-host? Okay, cool. Sorry.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't see you because you got put on the top
Okay.
as the co-host. Okay, so thank you. All right. So hopefully everybody understands Akhil Rasamrit Murti basically is the transcendental form of attraction for all 5 types of devotees: Shantaras, Dasiras, Sakyaras, Vatsalas, and Madhuriras. Okay, so what we established so far is that Krishna is the reservoir of all types of mellows. Now, his supreme feature is that he is the most lovable, all lovable personality. Not because of his, position of majesty or authority, not because the Lord of the Lords, but because of his attractive feature. Actually, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada explains that Lord Narayan is like High Court judge. He's a majestic, powerful figure in the courtroom. But when he's home, then you see all aspects of his personality. At home, he's sweet, he's intimate, with his parents, he's obedient, with his friends, he's jovial and shares confidential matters. With his spouse, he's a lover. With his children, he's the parent. My point is that High Court judge that everybody bows down to in the court has all these features of personality at home. So similarly, when Lord Narayan is doing for example, creation, then you see his majesty and his power. When he comes as Lord Nrsimhadev, etc., different incarnations, you see his majesty. But when he's Krishna, then you see all the fullness, I should say, the fullness of his sweet personality. Is that clear? Somebody say yes, please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes,
Okay,
very
good.
clear.
Okay, good. Thank you. Similarly, here, Rupa Goswami is not invoking Lord Narayan. He's not invoking even the Vasudeva Dwarka Mathura expansion of Krishna. He's invoking Krishna of Vrindavan. He's the one with Akhil Rasamrit Murti. He's the one with all the rasas. He's the one who's most attracted to all types of living beings. So basically, Rupa Goswami is saying, my Lord Krishna, Sham Sundar Krishna, I'm writing this book by making you the object of this book. And in this book, we are going to focus on your Akhil Rasamrit Murti, which is the Vigraha or the personification or the form of all attractive mellows. And then he says, you're the object as well as the subject of all mellows. In other words, you receive it and you give it in all those mellows. So it's not just one way, it's both ways. Actually, in the Vedas, it's described as Raso Vaisa, which means he's full of all the rasas. Whether it's Shantaras, Dasaras, Sakharas, Vatsalras, Madhuriras, it's all there. And it's supreme bliss in all of those mellows. I just want to take another 30 seconds to describe the word Murti, Akhil Rasamrit Murti. Murti can mean a statue, by the way. Which can be stone, which can be wood, which can be brass, but Murti here means personification. It's like you have words like Karuna Murti, Shanti Murti, Daya Murti, etc., etc. It's a personification of mercy, of peace, etc., etc. So Akhil Rasamrit Murti, Amrit Murti rather, means Krishna is the personification of all rasas and the nectar of all those rasas. Okay, so Rupa Goswami is saying, and you are the objective of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu book. Nobody else. You're the one. Okay, let's move to the next line. Actually, next three lines. It says, Prasramar Ruchi Ruddha Taraka Pali, Kalit Shama Lalito, Radha Prayan Vidhurjayati. So basically, if you look at Bhavashapura, there are 10 gopis described in Bhavashapura, which were very intimate with Krishna. And 5 of those 10 are being described in this verse. So once again, they are Taraka, Pali, Shama, Lalita, and Radha. Okay. Now, most of you, no, I'm sorry, I should say that. Has anybody heard the names Pali and Taraka or Palika and Tarika?
No.
No Prabhuji.
Yeah, I didn't think most people have not. So we'll talk about that. Shama, even Shama, most people think Shama means Radha, but not here. It's another Sakhi. So then the question becomes, wait a minute, I mean, Rupa Goswami, what are you doing? Why are you including the names and starting the book by including the names of people or Sakhis we have never heard of? What is it that you're trying to do? So let me try and answer that also, because it's, again, very, very important. First name is Tarka, right? Tarka Pali in the first, second line. So Tarka is Radharani's friend, very close friend, but kind of an interesting characteristic, which is she's somewhat distant and therefore she's not very prominent. Palika, the second one, is actually friendly with Chandravali, the competitor of Radharani. But she's neutral, so she's included here. Shama, she's very favorable to Radha and very friendly to Radha, but also very submissive to Radha. And we'll talk later, unlike Lalita and Vishakha, for example. Lalita is favorable. Lalita Sakhi is very favorable also, but not submissive, not at all. She's often chastising Radharani, stopping her from going to Krishna, insisting she put her makeup on, insisting that she put her clothes on properly, and yelling at Krishna and putting him down, all those kind of things. So she's favorable to Radha and Krishna and their conjugal affairs, but not submissive at all. Rather, she's naughty, in a playful way, but still naughty. She'll play tricks on Krishna, and she'll yell at Krishna, as well as Radha, of course. And then the fifth one is Radharani. So, in case you're wondering, I said 10 in Bhavashapura are mentioned. These are only 5. Who are the other 5? So I'm just going to tell you the names. We won't discuss them. So one is called Gopali, which again is the head of the group of Sakhis who are friendly with Chandravali. So the competitor group. Another one is Dhanya. Another one is Vishakha. We all know Vishakha. Dhanishta, who's often mentioned in different stories, pastimes of Krishna. She's very, very close to Lalita Sakhi. And of course, Chandravali, who's the chief competitor of Radharani. So that's 10 main gopis. Okay. Now, let's go back to why Tarka and Pali are mentioned. Mainly because Krishna subjugated them by his attractive features, which allowed him to freely associate with Radharani. Not just freely, but most intimately and most frequently with Radharani, mainly to establish the supremacy of Radharani among all the gopis. He is very close to Shama and Lalita Sakhi. Actually, they are in the intimate circle of Radha and Krishna. Of course, who can argue that with the point that Radharani is the dearest and the closest to Krishna, and that's why the word Radha Prayan is used here, which means that Radha Prayan actually means that Krishna is submissive to Radharani. So I just want to repeat. The last line, it says Radha Prayan, means Krishna is submissive to Radharani, which means the power of devotion of Radharani is so high that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead is submitting to her. And you hear the stories about him, Krishna putting his head on her lotus feet, Krishna taking the dust from her lotus feet, Krishna actually, literally, cowering down when she's yelling at him, spending all the efforts, all these pastimes to basically, in Hindi they say manao her, which means pacify her when she's angry, etc., etc. So basically, we can look at it in a different way. We can say that with other gopis, Krishna is the enjoyer. But with Radharani, he is the pleasure giver. He is giving pleasure to Radharani. From other gopis, he is receiving the pleasure. And therefore, we must consider Radharani as the chief gopi among them all. In other words, Krishna, the lover of Srimati Radharani and reservoir of all rasa, is the object and goal of this book, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Any questions or confusion? Am I going too fast? Yeah,
okay, the last line, can you repeat that? Last line.
I don't know what I was saying. Let me just think for a second.
The Radharani, she's the giver you mentioned?
Oh, yeah, okay. So what I was saying was that with other gopis, Krishna is the enjoyer. With Radharani, he is the pleasure giver to Radharani. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I hope that was the last sentence. All right. Now, I just want to spend a couple more minutes about melos or rasa. Let's see. Some people study the absolute truth in an analytical manner. What happens is when you study the absolute truth analytically, then you are led to the point of dhimahi. Dhimahi means meditation. You all are familiar with the first verse of the first canto of first chapter, first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was something like Janmadi Asyata, ends with Satyam Param Dhimai. Right? That is more like impersonalist who do that. On the other hand, those of us who are, as called in the third verse of first chapter, first canto, Rasikas. Rasikas are those who can relish the mellows. We don't want analysis. We want aesthetics, which means that we want to appreciate the beauty or the sweetness. When you do analysis, there's no beauty, there's sweetness. But aesthetically, there's beauty and sweetness. That's what the Rasikas want. That's what we are trying to become. So we have to become those Rasikas, which means we have to appreciate the sweetness of Krishna. If we are able to do that, then we can appreciate Krishna's naughtiness and other sweet pastimes to the point of the very famous bhajan, Akhilam Madhuram. And then we find everything about Krishna's feet, whether his lips, whether his face, whether his walking, his talking, his dancing, everything is Akhilam Madhuram. Everything is sweet about Krishna. But unless we come to that point of aesthetically looking at this thing, not analytically, we cannot enjoy it. And that's why there's no bliss in becoming a jnani. But there's nothing but bliss in becoming a pure devotee. Okay. Excuse me. So what is rasa? What is rasa? Rasa should be looked at as emotion of the heart, feelings in the heart. You know, so for example, if there's a drama going on and we are watching that drama and there's some joker coming and doing some funny things, we laugh. That's the hasras. Or two people start fighting. That's the vibhatsras or chivalry, right? So basically, mellows or rasa are the emotions in our heart. And this book, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, has taken the bhakti from Srimad Bhagavatam, rasa from the Shastras, and brought it together in this book, Nectar of Devotion, as Bhakti Rasa. So this book, Nectar of Devotion, is about Bhakti Rasa. Bhakti Rasa. Okay, and Bhakti Rasa is experienced throughout our life, not for a few hours like at a theater or movie hall, but for the entire life. Bhakti is not about 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, or once in a lifetime. It's for the rest of our life. And again, tonight we started with a question about, Krishna talking about going to higher planetary systems and coming back. So that's the point. Whenever you come back, try to experience Bhakti Rasa. Okay. Now, there are 5 primary and 7 secondary rasas. 5 primary you all know: Shanti, Dasa Ras, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. They are for relationship between the devotees and the Lord. But here's the difference. They are permanent. You are in this ras, that ras, that ras, that ras, but wherever you are, that's permanent. However, the secondary rasas, the 7 secondary rasas are temporary. In other words, nobody is eternally in any one of those 7 secondary rasas. But they add flavor to the primary rasa. It's like the salt in food. It adds flavor. For example, when Krishna was doing his Kaliya Daman Leela, so for apparently for a couple of hours, he was in the grip of Kaliya. Kaliya had coiled his body around Krishna's body. And the friends were watching. Now, Krishna's friends are in what mellow? Anybody? What's the mellow?
Sakharas.
Sakharas.
Sakya Prabhu.
Then Sakharas. So that's the permanent primary rasa. But when they're watching Krishna in the grip of Kaliya, they get a secondary rasa of Bhayanak. They're scared now. This horrible, what's going on? Is Krishna going to die? You know, similarly, when Yashoda Maya came running and saw him, her mood is Vatsalya. Her mood is Vatsalya, permanent. But now it was Bhayanak again. Or when she's getting angry with Krishna because he stole the butter, then she's in the Krodha ras. But she's not always Krodh. She's not always angry, just for a little while. But she's always in Vatsalya ras. So permanent versus temporary. Primary 5, permanent. Secondary 7, temporary. Similarly, Madhumangal. I mean, again, his primary rasa is Sakhya rasa. But he's always cracking jokes and all that. So that's temporary rasa with him. Okay? I'm sure he has a lot of this, but it still is temporary. We can give another example. And this is, if you recall, the entry of Krishna and Balram in the wrestling arena in Kansa's palace that he had arranged for Krishna and Balram to come and fight Mushtik and Chomir and all that. So if you recall, when Krishna and Balram enter into that arena after having killed the elephant Kuvaliya pit and them having the tusk of that elephant on their shoulders, everybody in the arena saw Krishna and Balram differently. Let me give a couple of examples. The men there, they saw Krishna as the best men they could be there, and they were surprised, the Vismaya rasa, surprised. Women were just falling in love with him, you know, like he's a Cupid, Madhuri rasa. The wrestlers, they saw Krishna and Balram, they had Veera rasa, the chivalry. They thought he was like lightning bolt, right? The friends of Kansa, including Kansa, saw him Radharani, which is chastiser. Krishna's father and elderly Gopas and Gopis, they had Vatsalya rasa. They saw him, them as the children. And they had Vatsalya rasa primary and Karuna rasa. They were saying, oh my God, our little children, you know, they'll be killed by the huge wrestlers. Kansa saw there was death, Bhayanak rasa. You know, so my point is that everybody, depending upon their mellow, depending upon their position, can see Krishna differently, but they still see Krishna because Krishna is Akhil Rasamrit Murti. Whatever the 12 mellows are, Krishna is full of them. I'm going to pause for a second and see if there are any questions or confusion. I mean, I don't want to confuse anybody because I may be giving you too much information. So I'm going to just pause and see if it's continuing to make any sense. So please.
Prabhuji. Go ahead, Yogesh Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just one clarification. So the Asht Sakhis that we hear, like, you know, like on the altar and all those, so they are in Radharani's camp. That's why we see those Sakhis, and the other Sakhis that you just mentioned, clarified today, they are in Chandravali's camp. Is that the reason?
Some of them, yes, but not all of them.
Right.
Yes, but that's correct. But they're basically not so prominent. These Ashtakhis are also known as Priya Narma Sakhis. They're very, very intimate. So that's why we had them. But there were other Sakhis also who were reasonably intimate, and some names we heard today. But they're not mentioned because they're not as close and as intimate as these Ashtakhis. Same thing with the Manjuris. Some names we hear, depending upon the degree of intimacy and closeness. But there are Manjuris, there are millions.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So my question is that, like, these are the devotees, reciprocal devotees show their rasa towards the Krishna. But when you say that Krishna is of all rasas, primary and secondary, like for example, we take Bhayanak. Like, you know, by seeing Krishna, the devotee becomes, but it is not the rasa of Lord Krishna. How to understand his bhayanak, how he feels bhayanak? Just for example. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for picking up on that, Prabhu. I really appreciate that because it's a very important point. Bhayanak rasa is one of those which devotees don't feel. Bhayanak rasa is for non-devotees because Bhayanak rasa means death. So non-devotees see Krishna, they see death. Devotees see Krishna, they see something different, depending upon the purity of their devotional service. Right? So Kansa and his close friends saw Bhayanak, which was death. Oh, we're going to get killed today. But the devotees present in the arena did not.
Because he was.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah, but Prabhuji, okay, so leave bhayanak. So I say Adbhut, for example, Adbhut.
Yeah.
The devotees can feel Adbhut. So, but Krishna doesn't feel that way Adbhut, right? The devotee.
Yes,
Go ahead.
correct. So you're right. Krishna is not feeling those rasas necessarily. It's the devotees feeling that rasa. Remember, he is full of all these rasas.
Right.
So remember, I also said that he's the object and the subject. So for some cases, he's just the object.
Okay. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, then how does he enjoy all the, because he is the supreme enjoyer. So how is he enjoying these rasas then? I mean, it's triggered another question in my mind.
No, that's a good question. So do you enjoy giving pleasure to some people you are very close to?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so that's how he is enjoying because he is giving pleasure to his devotees.
In this particular example you're talking about, yes, he is. But in other cases, he's the receiver, and some places he's giver. And that is his relationship, the reciprocal relationship with the devotees. Okay.
And in some scenario, in some pastimes, he has enjoyed those rasas too.
Absolutely.
Like, in his Vrindavan pastimes, he's enjoyed so many of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Makes sense.
Sure. Radha Bhakti?
Did you finish relaying the 7 temporary rasas? And also my question is, it sounds like there are different emotions within the rasas. And if that's right, then 7 actually feels like a small number. Isn't there like a bigger spectrum of emotions we could feel?
I'm not aware of the tertiary rasas, if that's what you mean. I'm only aware of the secondary rasas, but they cover most of the spectrum of the emotions. I'm not talking about degrees, but in terms of nominating them, I think we covered, like, what did we talk about? We talked about, for example, Veer Rasa, which is chivalry. We talked about Vismaya Rasa, which is like, I don't know what the English word is, surprise, I guess. We talked about Hasya Rasa, which is the comedy. We talked about Raudra Rasa, which is anger. What else we talked about? We talked about Karuna Rasa, which is mercy. We talked about Bhayanak Rasa, which is like death. And we talked about Vibhats Rasa, which is like something just scary, like the universal form. So those are the 7 that I'm aware of. Don't know if there are others.
Adbhut Ras?
Yeah, Adbhut Ras. Yeah, Adbhut is the same as basically Vismaya.
Vismaya, okay.
I think that's the same. Yeah. Radha, did I answer your question?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? So once again, if I can ask you all to keep yourself muted unless you need to speak, and that way there'll be less disturbance. Okay. Then again, going back to the last line, which says Radha Prayan Vidhur Jayati. So the word Vidhu is very interesting. I thought I'll explain that as well. Vidhu has 2 meanings. One meaning is that a Vidhu can destroy all suffering arising from any kind of pain. So Krishna is being called Vidhu. And if I remember correctly, first canto Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, text 17, it says, Vidhnoti Surhat Satam. which means he takes away, Srila is Krishna, he takes away all the impurities, all the pain, all the concerns of the heart of a devotee. So that's one meaning. It could be ignorance also, that he will destroy. The second meaning of Vidhu is moon. So here Krishna is being called Vidhu, like moon, because just like because he illuminates both the material and spiritual planets with his potencies, as Brahma Jyoti, if you want to call it, but also his potencies. Moon is able to illuminate only the planet Earth, but he's able to illuminate all the worlds, material and spiritual. And he does that with his potencies, his incarnations, his pastimes, etc. Okay. And it is said that moon also has nectar. And with that nectar, that's able to produce the vegetables, etc., without which Soma Bhutva Rasatmakam. What is that? Chapter 15, text 13, I think, or something like that. Anyway, so the word Vidhu is being used to describe the moon and Krishna. Another reason is that moon is very pleasing, especially when it's full moon. And so here the point being made is that when the full moon is on the sky, other stars can look very dim. So here Krishna being called Vidhu means that other gopis, especially like the minor ones, like Tarika and Palika and all those, their brightness is dimmed in the presence of Krishna, because Krishna's brightness, effulgence is everywhere. And moon has an effect only at night time, which Krishna has an effect, doesn't matter day or night. But there was a comment I heard that just like the moon is able to give light at night time, Krishna is consorting with Shama and Lalita and giving, or rather making them brighter than they are otherwise. So that's basically what points I wanted to make. Any questions before you go back to the introduction? Okay, so Katwanga Prabhu, did you want to finish that paragraph? You left at ultimately Srimati Radharani.
Yes, Prabhuji. Let his Lordship's grace be on us so that there may not be any hindrance in the execution of this duty of writing the nectar of devotion impelled by his divine grace, Shrimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. So basically, this sentence is added by Srila Prabhupada. I'm sorry. The second sentence is added by Srila Prabhupada, where he's saying, Rupa Goswami is offering his obeisances, and I just want to recognize my Guru who has impelled me to do this work. So that's basically it. Then we go to the second paragraph, which is
Goswami Prabhupada, Bhakti Saraswati Prabhupada.
Haribol, please keep yourself on mute. In the second paragraph, he covers the second objective, where, what was the second objective, anybody remembers? It was to offer obeisance. Yes, thank you. Yes, so he has defined the book's objective. Now in the second paragraph, he is going to offer obeisances. So if somebody wants to read the second paragraph.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Okay.
let me offer my respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada and of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, by whose inspiration I have been engaged in the matter of compiling this summary study of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. This is the sublime science of devotional service as propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago in West Bengal, India, to propagate the movement of Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Thank you. So basically, in the first line, Prabhupada is making the point that he's not doing it on his own. Rather, he's been engaged by Lord Krishna to do this, and by the mercy of his Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Okay, so this paragraph is a summary of the second verse of Mangalacharan, which is in your handout. So if I can ask you to go back to that, this is where Rupa Goswami is offering obeisances to Lord Chaitanya. So remember, the first one was Lord Krishna, now it's Lord Chaitanya. And if somebody has in front of you, if you want to read NOD 1.1.2, which is also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 19.
Yes, Prabhuji. Can I
can. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, one of you go ahead, please.
Okay. So with your permission, rather not Prabhuji.
Please, either one.
Yeah. Okay. Hridiyasya prinaya paravritoto aham varakarupo api tasya hare pada kamalam bande chaitanya devasya.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, please go ahead with the translation.
Sure, Prabhuji. Although I am the lowest of men and have no knowledge, the inspiration to write transcendental literatures about devotional science service has been mercifully bestowed upon me. Therefore, I am offering my obeisances at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given me the chance to write these books. Yeah.
Yeah. So wonderful. This is such a wonderful, wonderful verse. Rupa Goswami is saying that I have no knowledge. I'm the most fallen. I'm the lowest of the Naradhamas, the lowest of men, right? But Lord Chaitanya, out of his sheer mercy, has given me the inspiration to write this. And has given me that opportunity to do this. Therefore, I offer my obeisances to him. So here, basically, Rupa Goswami is reminding himself that whatever he knows, it has been personally taught by Lord Chaitanya to him. This whole science of Bhakti Rasa and the inspiration to write this book, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, has come from Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada is saying, by adding his sentence, that, and similarly, I was instructed in Krishna consciousness by my spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. So, Prabhupada has basically adjusted the summary by offering his obeisances to both Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and Rupa Goswami. Okay, let's go to the third paragraph. Oh, sorry, any questions?
So, Prabhu, this is this paragraph is direct relation to 1.1.12, right?
1.12, yes.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Okay. Somebody wants to read the third paragraph?
Shall I do, Prabhuji?
Please go ahead.
Vishram mandatya tasya sanatan.
No.
Paragraph first.
Go to the book.
Oh, sorry. Srila Rupa Goswami begins his great book by offering his respectful obeisances unto Sri Sanatana Goswami, who is his elder brother and spiritual master. And he prays that Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu may be very pleasing to him. He further prays that by residing in that ocean of nectar, Sri Sanatana Goswami may always feel transcendental player in the service of Radha and Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. And again, I'll request everyone to please keep yourself on mute because there's some still background noise coming. Okay. All right. So let's read the verse. Somebody wants to volunteer, and then the translation.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Vishram mandirataya tasya sanatan tanormadishasya Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu bhavatu sadayam pramodaya.
Yeah, very nice. Translation, please.
Translation: May this work named Ocean of Nectar, composed of Bhakti Rasa, always serve as recreation hall of my Lord, manifested in the form called Sanatan Goswami for his pleasure.
Very well. So now, Rupa Goswami is offering his obeisances to his guru, Sanatan Goswami. And basically, the whole reason to write this book is to please Sanatan Goswami. Very interesting. Similarly, Prabhupada, in his summary, is offering his obeisances to his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. Okay, all right, let's go to the fourth paragraph. Anyone?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Let us offer our respectful obeisance to all the great devotees and acharyas, holy teachers, who are compared to sharks in the great ocean of nectar and who do not care for the various rivers of liberations. Impersonalists are very fond of merging into supreme, like a rivers that come down and merge into the ocean. The ocean can be compared to liberation, and the rivers to all the different paths of liberation. The impersonalists are dwelling in the river water, which eventually comes to mix with the ocean. They have no information, however, that within the ocean, as within the river, there are innumerable aquatic living entities. The sharks who dwell in the ocean do not care for the rivers which are gliding down into it. The devotees eternally live in the ocean of devotional service, and they do not care for the rivers. In other words, those who are pure devotees always remain in the ocean of transcendental loving service to the Lord and have no business with the other processes which are compared to the rivers that only gradually come to the ocean.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So what's happening here? Actually, you know what? Before I do that, let's somebody read the fourth verse, which is the summary was translation of. Anybody from the handout?
Nikunj Madhvi Mataji, I think, wants to read.
Sure, go ahead. I can't see everybody because I've pinned myself there. So please just go ahead.
Mataji, we can't hear you.
You are on mute.
If she's having difficulty, maybe somebody else can do it.
I can go ahead, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
NOD 1.1.4. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu Charata Paribhuta Kal Jalabhiya Bhakta Makaran Ashilita Mukti Nadikam Namashyami.
Yeah.
Translation: I offer my respects to the devotees who are like Makaras, king of fishes, frolicking in the sweet ocean of devotional rasa, who disregard the insignificant rivers of liberation and who are free from fear caused by the net of time.
Yeah, thank you. So very interesting. it says Bhakta Makaran Shilita. So makar is actually a kind of fish. Actually, it's considered to be king of fish, as the translation says. So devotees have been compared to these makaras, which are actually, makaras are really, to think about this, the sharks, shark fish. So devotees have been compared to sharks. And then you say, well, wait a minute, why would you compare devotees to shark? Because usually you think shark, you think jaws, which is they come and bite you. But that is not the case here. So there are 3 reasons why devotees have been compared. So first I'm going to talk about the shark. Sharks live only in the ocean. They don't come to fresh water, rivers and all that. You'll never find shark in Gangaji. Second up is sharks actually reject the rivers. This will not come. And they're never caught in the fisherman's net. So those are the 3 things. So I'm going to talk about each one of them. First being sharks live only in the ocean. So what's the comparison with the devotees? Basically, ocean is deep, and devotional service or devotion is deep. So the devotees don't come out of devotional service, and they try to go as deep as possible in their devotional service, and they relish the nectar, I could say nectarian ocean of devotion. That they get involved in. In other words, they only stay where it's deep, like deep devotional service. So that's the analogy with living only in the ocean. Closely related to that is point number 2, that they reject the rivers. Sharks reject the rivers. So compared to ocean, rivers are very small. So if you're talking about the ocean of pleasure or bliss, we can say that rivers are lesser bliss, lesser pleasure, and therefore the devotees are not attracted to the lesser pleasures. So in real life, in practical life, what is lesser pleasure? Jnana Yoga, for example, impersonalism, because that's basically the ultimate end of Jnana Yoga. Impersonalism is to merge with the Supreme, merge in the Brahmanifaljas, just like the rivers ultimately merge in the ocean. So actually, it says here that just like a river merges in the ocean, impersonalists merge in the Supreme. But the bliss that the devotees feel is not there. The other point is that, yes, the impersonalists give the analogy of river merging in the ocean, as river basically loses its existence. Once merged in the ocean, impersonalists say, we also lose our existence once we merge in the Brahman effulgence, and therefore we become Narayan, we become God. We're no longer a soul. And Prabhupada explains that that is a faulty argument, because the path of self-realization is not the same as the person who's practicing self-realization. If you are saying that path of self-realization is like a river, and the person on that path is like a fish in the river, then the fish remains like a fish in the even after the river has merged in the ocean. So it's the water that's merging, not the fish. So therefore, the living entity is like a fish who does not lose its existence even after the path has merged in the manifolds or the Supreme. If you look at the ocean, there's a variety of forms and, all sorts of aquatic. I think, if I remember correctly, there's 2 million types of aquatics. I could be wrong, but I think there's 2 million aquatics. So that's how much variety is there. So therefore, to say that we lose our existence when we merge in the Brahmanifolds is incorrect. Also, we should remember that the real goal of self-realization is not to merge with the Supreme, but to enter the realm of Supreme. In other words, where he lives. Where he lives is full of all these varieties. Prabhupada likes to use the word variegatedness. All sorts of living entities are there. Innumerable forms are there. And that is the real place where the devotees want to go. So therefore, once the devotee achieves their ultimate destination, Golok Vrindavan Dham, they don't want to look at any other process of self-realization except for bhakti, because bhakti is the only thing that will get them there. Now, I have a feeling I may have confused everyone. So I'm going to ask you to wait for 2 more minutes. Let me finish the last point, and then I'll come back to the questions. The third point was sharks are not caught by fisherman's net because they swim deep in the ocean. Similarly, devotees swim deep in the ocean of devotional service. So therefore, they can live in that ocean of devotional service eternally. And because they don't care for the rivers, they're never caught in the fisherman's net, which is the eternal cycle of repeated birth and death. In other words, pure devotees always remain in the ocean of loving devotional service to the Lord and have no business with any other process like Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, etc. Those Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga are like rivers who eventually come to the ocean, which means that if you are at Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, etc., until you come to Bhakti Yoga, you don't get Krishna. And those paths eventually come to Bhakti Yoga. It's just that they're longer processes, they're more indirect processes, because Bhakti is shorter, fastest, and most direct process. So I have no idea if I have confused you because I may have been struggling with my words. So please ask any questions that may not have been clear. If nothing was clear, ask me to repeat it.
Yeah, I think you made it clear. It was so nice that like river is a path and the aquatic in that path, they are the actual, right? So they go and remain at the same thing. And you're wording up a realm, remaining in the realm. That means you go to the Supreme Lord's place. That is what meaning of and not merging. Very nicely put it up. You also gave that, because the devotees do not go to the river, so remain in ocean, so they are not caught by, those. That was very clear. Jnana Yoga and all that, but that was clear. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So
thank
nice.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So when here in this translation, they're talking this verse, they're talking about makaras, kings of fishes. They're just talking about the pure devotees here, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Because,
so we're not sharks yet, we're still fish.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, we're so caught in that net of time, Maya, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
it's not about us, obviously.
Yeah, we're getting bigger, I think, but we're not sharks yet.
Yeah, in size, maybe.
That too.
Last time I think you didn't explain, and who are free from the fear caused by the net of time.
Sorry, Prabhu, ask again.
And who are free from the fear caused by the net of time.
Right. So what's the question?
You didn't, did you explain this?
Yes, but I said the cycle of repeated birth and death. That's the cycle of time. Net of time, if you want to call it. Basically, it catches us and we eternally go back and forth. So changing the bodies, different stages of the bodies, we just keep going back and forth, back and forth.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, very nicely, like you summarized a lot of things and very deeply you went into to clarify. I just have one thing to ask you. In this particular paragraph in the book, I think it's line 5th, it says, the ocean can be compared to liberation. So just want to clarify, this is not the liberation that the Mukti Kamis they are looking for, right?
Sir, where are you reading?
In the Nectar devotion book, the paragraph just you summarized nicely. It's the 5th line. It says the ocean can be compared to liberation and the rivers to all the different parts of liberation. So my question is, this is not the kind of liberation that the Mukti Kamis they are looking for, right?
Yeah, I'm just sorry, I was looking for that line. So which line is this? Says 5th line?
The 5th line, yeah, towards on the right side, it says the
The
ocean
ocean can be compared to liberation. Oh yeah, okay, sorry, yes, bro. Now, so no, here the point was, so the impersonalists compare the ocean with liberation. And they're saying just like the rivers are merging into the ocean, we are merging in the Brahman effulgence.
Okay, so this is from their perspective.
From their perspective, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, how are you, Prabhu?
I'm good, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sure.
So the same line actually, like rivers with all the different paths of liberation. Okay, when rivers are merged into ocean, will it not be the same liberation?
No, so that's what Prabhupada was saying, that impersonalists think that just like the rivers merge in the ocean, they lose their existence, they become one. So police say, yeah, we become one with God. We lost our existence, our individuality, and now we've taken the Lord's, the absolute truth identity. Whereas the devotees saying, yes, we are merging in the ocean also, but in our case, the ocean is Krishna. And we're not merging in the sense of losing our existence, like the fish doesn't lose its existence, but we serve Krishna. That is our liberation. So pure devotees also not going through the cycle of repeated birth and death, is not staying in the material world. That's the liberation. But his destination is different. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right? And what happens there is different. So in the spiritual world, devotee does not lose, actually anybody does not lose existence, but the devotee gets to serve. As the impersonalist, they don't lose their existence, but there's no service in the Brahman effulgence, they just sit there. And that's the difference.
Prabhu, when you say existence, do you mean identity?
Well, basically, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, soul is indestructible, right? It's never lost, always exists. Nato evaham jatu nasam, natam neme janadipa, right? So, impersonalists say, no, we lose our existence. We don't exist anymore. Krishna is saying, no, you were always there, you'll always be there. And so, what by lose existence means impersonalists are saying, we don't exist anymore. Krishna is saying, no, you never lose your existence. You're always there. This I'm quoting from Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, text 12. So if you want to look it up.
Prabhu, I have a question.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
So when we say that the rivers are merging into the ocean, so they're basically losing their identity or existence. So
Yes.
does that mean that, does losing identity and liberation are both the same?
Yeah, it's confusing because there are two different perspectives here. So I think best way to remove the confusion is look at two perspectives totally separately, because the meanings and examples change. So let's stick with impersonalists first. Okay? So don't think devotee for now. Just think impersonalist. So impersonalists do self-realization also. And for them, the liberation is cessation of miseries and liberation from living in the material world. That is their liberation. They're saying our destination is Brahman effulgence. They call that absolute truth because that's the only thing they understand. And they say when we go there, we lose our existence, just like a river loses its existence. Because once it merges in the ocean, you cannot say, oh, this is Ganga here, this is Yamuna here. There's no distinction. It's all ocean now. And they say, just like that, we lose our existence and we are just absolute truth, part of the absolute truth. Okay, so I'm going to pause and ask you, is that clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so no confusion about that. River here is also used to describe various paths of self-realization. And that's, I think, causes another confusion. So here, rivers are being used for the impersonalists as well as the path of self-realization for the impersonalists. And that's what it says multiple rivers, so multiple paths of self-realization, but they all lead into the ocean. Now, is that part clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Now, forget impersonalists for a second. Let's talk about devotees. So Rupa Goswami is saying, and Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam will say the same thing, is don't compare devotees with rivers. They are like fish, the shark fish. So when the river merges in the ocean, the path you've taken doesn't matter. The point is that when the devotee is in the ocean, which is the ocean of pure devotion, the devotee does not lose his existence, just like the sharks don't. Also, like shark, the devotee likes to go deep in the ocean, so deep in the devotional service. And because it goes deep in the ocean, it doesn't get caught by the time, or the fisherman's net, I should say, which is time, which is the repeated existence in the material world, birth and death, etc., etc. The deeper you go, the safer you are. In other words, the deeper you go, the less your attachments to the material world. When you're really deep, no attachment to the material world, therefore you don't come back to the material world. Therefore, no influence of time or Maya or forced entry into the material world. But does that make it any clearer?
Yes, Prabhu.
Don't say yes, it's not clear. Just ask me again and I'll try again.
No, please explain this again.
Okay, sure. I'm glad you asked. So this is the devotee part. So Rupa Goswami is saying devotees are like shark. When they get to the final destination, which is the pure devotional service, the ocean of pure devotion, ocean of pure bliss, they're deep in there without losing their existence. They still remain the living entity. They don't lose their identity as a living entity. They don't disappear in the body of Krishna. They're there, just like shark is there. And because they go deep into the ocean of devotional service, the effect of time, the net of fishermen, does not catch them because they're too deep into that. Going deeper into the devotional service means losing all attachment to material world. It happens simultaneously. No separate effort involved. The purer the devotee, the lesser the attachment. Pure devotee, no attachment to material world or material things. Therefore, no requirement to come back to the material world. So you are free from the effect of time. Because there's no effect of time in the spiritual world. So you go there, and because you maintain your identity, you maintain your service, you maintain your mellow, and you're associating with Krishna in whatever mellow you are in. Shantaras, Dasiras, Sakaras, Vatsaliras, Madhuriras. You maintain that. You serve Krishna in that mellow. And for eternity, you continue to serve Krishna. You never get caught by the fisherman's net, which is the time or the forced entry into the material world. How's that?
That sounds good, Prabhu. I always thought, Prabhu, when I was reading Bhagavad Gita, because it says that, soul is so little. And I always wonder, like, if Krishna is so big, we always call him super soul. So when we go to him and we like parts, it's in bits. It's like a Minecraft game.
Well, I mean,
What's
look at
going
it
on?
this way. Compared to your body, your pinky finger is very small, but still serving your body. Your retina, the eyeball, is very small, but it's because of that you're able to see. Your ear hole, the membrane of the ear, is very, very small. Most of us have never seen it actually. It's there, but we have not seen it. But without that, you can't hear. Serving the body, same thing. Does that make sense?
So, Prabhu, basically, what you explained right now, it's like, even when we go back, I don't know who will go back there. No, when we go back, if we follow what we are following right now, we'll still stay souls, will serve Krishna as, individual souls. We will not merge into the big soul.
We never merge into anything. That's the whole point. We never merge into anything.
Okay.
It's like sugar, water, and sand. You take sugar, put in water, it does merge. You don't see sugar anymore. But take some sand, put in water, you can stir all you want. Sand will remain separate. So we are like the sand, not like the sugar. Impersonalists think they are sweet as sugar. They're not.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. All right, then let's quickly finish the next two. And so fifth verse, I said only the translation because the verse was too difficult.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Sorry, going back to the same, like previous one. So the like imperfectionists, like impersonalists, thinking that they merge into super soul, like rivers are merged into ocean, is not right.
So the impersonalists don't know. Sorry, bro, I have to stop you for a second. Impersonalists don't know about super soul. They don't know about Bhagavan. Impersonalists only know Brahman effulgence. To them, that is the absolute truth. So they talk about merging in Brahman effulgence. To them, that is the absolute truth. Okay, yogis, they think they can merge the super soul. So different.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we are saying here is all those are all perceptions from their side. That's all.
Correct.
That is, which is not true. Oh, I mean, okay. Is it okay? It is only true from their side.
From their side, it's very true. Yes.
Okay.
But it's not
that
true.
okay, but it is not true. Okay.
But those who know better, it's not true.
Okay. Okay. So basically, we cannot compare a soul to a river.
No, you can't.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else? Okay, otherwise we'll just finish quickly the next two. I sent the translation. The verse was too hard to really even read. So somebody wants to do the translation?
I can do it too.
Go ahead.
O Sanatana, may your ocean of Bhakti Rasa remain for a long time, restricting the harsh arguments of the proponents of karma and jnana, just as the ocean restricts the Vadaba fire.
Right. Okay. Now somebody wants to read the fifth paragraph.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Srila Rupa Goswami prays to his spiritual master, Srila Sanatan Goswami, for the protection of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, the ocean of the pure nectar of devotional service, from the argumentative logicians who unnecessarily meddle in the science of service to the Lord. He compares their arguments and logic to volcanic eruption in the midst of the ocean. In the midst of the ocean, volcanic eruptions can do very little harm. And similarly, those who are against devotional service to the Lord and who put forward many philosophical theses about the ultimate transcendental realization cannot disturb this great portion of devotional service.
Right, right. So basically, here Rupa Goswami is begging his spiritual master, Sanatana Goswami, for protection. But protection from what? He's saying, I'm scared of what I call, this is my Rupa Nuga speaking, called tarkic. Now, tark means argument. Argument for the sake of arguments. Some stupid logic they bring in, and so I call them tarkic. Well, that's my word for them. But they can be karmis, they can be gyanis, and I'm sure every one of you have run into some of them somewhere in your life. And this, but basically, these people make so much noise of stupid arguments, meaningless arguments, and they won't listen to logic. So we, the devotees, have to see by practical application what's right, what's wrong, rather than get into the argument, get in an argument with these people. It's best if you just listen to our own acharyas, because let's face it, acharyas are more important than what I call pracharyas, which are people talking for nothing, talking nonsense. Just don't pay too much attention to them. It's better to say, you win, I lose, and walk away. Because the fact is, when people start challenging the disciplic succession and everything that's associated with that, then all hell breaks loose like a volcano in ocean. So now, sorry, I didn't say it right. Like a volcano. So if we are inside the ocean of pure devotional service, then that ocean will take care of the volcano. Because volcano doesn't go very far when it's inside the ocean. But it's in a mountain, we know. I mean, so many volcano eruptions have happened over the past, and almost the big island of Hawaii was created by volcano eruptions, and so many other places in the world. So all hell can break loose when volcano erupts. But if the volcano is inside the ocean, then it doesn't do much harm. So if you're pure devotees, we can deal with these people. If you are not, it's just best to walk away. So here Rupa Goswami is saying, begging Sanatana Goswami, please give me protection from these volcanoes. So essentially he's saying, I'm not a pure devotee, so I need your help. So he's begging his spiritual master, who is a pure devotee, again, Rupa Goswami speaking, saying, you can give me the protection from these people, these argumentative logicians, the tarkic people. And basically what happens is that people who are very weak spiritually, but they are in a mode of passion. So they want to be known for their Krishna consciousness, but they know nothing. And they are the ones who will get involved along with the karmis and the gyanis. So the point is, Rupa Goswami is begging for the ability to put so much bhakti rasa in this book, Nectar of Devotion, that it becomes like an ocean where no volcanic fire of the silly arguments of the karmis, the gyanis, and those pretending to be, in Krishna consciousness will have any effect on the book, or the arguments being produced in the book. Again, he's comparing with the ocean, which becomes like nectar of oceans. Sorry, ocean of nectar, rather, I should say. Then these volcanoes of stupid arguments will have no effect. So any questions on that? Okay, then let's quickly, we're running out of time, or we have run out of time, do the translation for the 6th verse, again from the handout.
I can read, Prabhuji.
Go ahead.
Okay, translation. Though I am ignorant, I have undertaken this work concerning Bhakti Rasa related to Krishna, who is auspicious for the whole world, for the joy of my friends.
Right. So that's translated in the next paragraph. Somebody wants to read
I
the
can do,
paragraph?
Prabhuji.
Please go ahead. Go ahead, please.
You're on mute, Mataji.
Okay. The author of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, very humbly submit that he is just trying to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, although he humbly thinks himself unfit for this work. That should be the attitude of all preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement. Following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, we should never think of ourselves as great preachers, but should always consider that we are simply instrumental to the previous acharyas. And simply by following in their footsteps, we may be able to do something for the benefit of suffering humanity.
Yeah. So here Rupa Goswami is showing how humble he is. All these acharyas are so humble. He says that I'm writing it with the inspiration of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm incompetent. And Prabhupada says that is the right mood for a preacher. Rupa Goswami also says that he's eager to write this book to please the devotees. And again, we're going to talk a little bit later on that basically is saying that anyone who reads this book is blessed and will achieve transcendental happiness and will become freed from the misconceptions of the impersonalists. So we'll see all this later on. And I think I'm going to stop here because I don't have time. So next paragraph talks about the scope of the book, and we'll talk about that next week. I'm going to unpin myself and put myself in the speaker. Okay, all right. So any questions or comments? If not, then I'll have a couple of questions.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I just comments. I don't have questions. So nice. We never thought of that depth, Prabhuji, you are explaining. It's a lot of things to understand here.
So actually, that was one of my questions. Is it too much? You want me to?
No, Prabhuji, we want, at least I would like to go. That's why, because there is rasa is there. We would like to see that.
Yes, Prabhu, it's good. Like
Yeah.
it was very nicely explained. Everything was so beautifully explained with nice examples, analogies. So beautifully done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Any comments?
Yeah, to Mother's point, I would say, yeah, Prabhuji. I mean, sometimes we read, but the things, they don't sink in. But the way you elaborated, especially this, the fourth paragraph, right? The ocean and the impersonalists and the devotees. Oh my goodness! I mean, it is so much depth you went to, and you clarified a number of times, and I think it has kind of sinked in. Yeah, really appreciate it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, you always explain so good.
Mataji, thank you so much. You're so kind always.
Really, really very good.
Excellent, Prabhuji, excellent.
Thank you, Prabhu. So the second point is that I'm undergoing a relatively minor operation on Tuesday.
What is that?
Sorry?
For what?
It's a umbilical hernia.
Oh.
And so I'll go to the hospital on Tuesday, come back Wednesday. I don't know how I would feel on Thursday. If I'm okay, then I will take the class. If not, I will have to cancel it. But I won't know until Wednesday.
No problem, Prabhuji. Take care of yourself.
I can take care of the rest if you need it.
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
That is more important.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Prabhuji, take it very easy.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
We'll pray for you, Prabhuji. So,
Oh, Prabhu, I need
yeah,
that. Thank you so much.
So Wednesday will be no class.
You should be okay.
So I will.
Wednesday,
Sorry?
Wednesday would be no class.
Wednesday, no, you can have the class with, just like we did yesterday. You can have the class without me. So there's enough people to lead the Wednesday class. I'm not worried about Wednesday class. It's just I will miss it, but you don't have
Thursday class.
Thursday class. I'll know on Wednesday whether we'll miss it. But it's probably more like not be able to do it. But I will know, as I said, on Wednesday.
Just one more week, Prabhuji, not more than that, right? Because
Don't
we
push
miss.
yourself.
Thank you all for your prayers.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing I just want to confirm. So everybody's okay with the amount of detail because
Very nice, Prabhuji. Very
Okay.
nice.
Prabhuji, all
okay,
good.
all right. Then we'll continue with that. It just means it's going to take longer than whatever you may have expected, but that's fine. Once again, thank you all for your kind attention and
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a lot of
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thanks
Thank you,
a lot,
Prabhuji. It
Thank
was a
you.
beautiful class as always.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice.
thank you very much.
And
Thank
Prabhuji,
you,
you're
Prabhuji.
literally following Guru Maharaja.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
All the best, Prabhuji. We will
Thank you
miss
so
you.
All
much.
the best. Good luck, Prabhuji.
Thank you, all of you.
Prabhuji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Everyone.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Oh, sorry, I just want to point one other thing. If any one of you is not receiving an email from me, that means I don't have your email address. So I'm going to put my email address up because last week or 2 weeks ago, I had some people put their email in the chat, but for some reason, when I finished the program, they were not there. So I missed them all. So my apologies to them. So this time I'm going to put my email address up. So please note it down. If you're not getting emails from me, send me your email address, and then I can include you in my distribution list. So here it is. Both my phone number and email address are here. Please take a note and send me an email saying you don't have, you're not receiving my emails, in which case I'll make sure that you're included. And I don't know if Indulekha Mata is on the call. She was one of those people who sent me the her email address, and I lost it. And there's Abhay Kumar also that I don't see today. It's probably because he didn't get my email either. So my apologies, but if there's anybody else on the call, I think it was Patel Mataji there. If she's still there, if she can note down this address, then I can include her. Okay. All right. Okay, then thanks so much, everyone. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.